There's something that I love that you say often, off stage and on stage, that God doesn't want to do another version of an old thing.
Right, yeah.
But he wants to do a new thing.
Are you trying to sound old?
I think so.
What I'm hearing.
I'm glad you heard the point. I'm glad you heard what I was really saying, so I have to clearly say it.
You're old. We're all old.
Like she says, this is what she says. I'm quoting her. He wants to do a new thing, and that I think that's such a powerful word, a timeless word, but also for today, that God doesn't want to just do an upgraded version or another version, or for someone to compare themselves to someone else and say, oh, I want to be a version of that thing or her thing, but that God wants to do a new thing. And that's a confirming thing for me. For years, when I would speak on stages, I would make sure I left out certain things about myself in my introduction, so that it would not be a wall to people for them to think I was unqualified. So for years, I might be one of the youngest on a bill, so I made sure not to say my age. Or I thought there was no one on the bill that looked like me, and so I wouldn't mention my mixed heritage or talk about my race. Or I didn't want to talk about that I was from the hood, or I grew up poor, or that I'm addicts' kids, or the things that I saw as a kid, because I thought people will probably not relate to me, so I'm going to make sure I leave these things out about myself so that it doesn't create a wall so people don't think I'm unqualified. And the more I've been speaking, and we have some mutual friends, that some of the only notes that I was getting speaking on Sunday service stages was, say more about who you are. Yeah. I want you to say your age. I want you to say your race. I want you to say where you're from. You being from the streets is a big part of you. I spent so much time trying to figure out who I was supposed to be like. I didn't realize I was just supposed to be more of who I already was. Yeah. And all this time wasted trying to think of what would give people the best access to me. I don't want to create walls. Was that the enemy ultimately wasn't just having victory over my content. He was having victory over me trying to hide the child of God I was. He was having victory over me just lessening the woman that God was making me into and who I was. And so I think me discovering that the answer was not, that me being me is God's plan A.
Right. Yes.
And that these things that I thought were going to be walls were actually doors that I had mistaken as walls that God wanted me to walk through for my own freedom, but maybe to help other people feel that freedom too. Maybe you didn't look like this mold, but you were made in his mold. You were made in his image. So don't think you need to look like her mold, but that God made you uniquely you. That has been the most freeing. It's changed how I speak. Yeah. It's changed how I think of myself and how I think of other women too, other ministers. Just that, wow, I truly am called to be more of who I already am and to not stay hidden. I don't know if you feel like once you discovered more of who you already were, that changed how you did ministry, or like that changed how you kind of saw your own calling.
Hi everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this video. There's a whole lot more. You can subscribe and let's get better together.